Bryan, Daugherty, proxy for Mark Willis, Maine. As again, as one of the only grassroots representatives, I hold no title. I am an active party member. I am proud to be here to represent hundreds of thousands of grassroots activists, and I would emphatically ask that this committee vote to not refer these to any subcommittees, just off the basis, again, that these amendments are, there's a lot of controversy about the way that these rules were passed, and until we receive a formal hearing to determine that we are working within a framework of the rules that were passed according to the proper procedural process, we should not be invoking potentially illegitimate rules in order to amend other potentially illegitimate rules. We've been trying to have that hearing, but the conversation is considered so controversial that the Republican National Committee refused to allow the discussion to take place. During the 2012 National Convention, Americans witnessed a set of rules passed under highly controversial circumstances. The National Convention delegation vote is one of the very few opportunities for grassroots to have their voices heard within the RNC, and the failure to follow proper parliamentary procedure during the passage of the 2012 rules of the Republican Party left many grassroots activists feeling as though their voice within the RNC was unwelcome and effectively stifled. You may recall the incident during the RNC convention in Tampa in which the chair announced that the ayes have it. Over the vote on a resolution to adopt these rules without allowing the proper time for input and debate from the delegates as required for the governing rules of the National Convention, House Rule 19. For ensure clarity of the result, were not recognized. It was later learned that this vote was scripted on a teleprompter prior to the vote itself being taken. The neglect of proper parliamentary procedure at the 2012 Republican National Convention has left many party members working within an atmosphere characterized by intense friction among factions. The event has left a large body of Republicans feeling as though RNC operates as a production with predetermined outcomes rather than an assembly meant to serve as a forum for input from the bottom up. The way that the vote was held resulted in a set of rules passed illegitimately. We should not be tweaking individual aspects of illegitimately passed rules. Instead, we should be having and asking the RNC for an official hearing on the legitimacy of the method passage of the rules.
If I could just ask you to hold this half moment. Your comments are somewhat ungermane. We have no problems hearing them, but a repetition, I just want to make sure that we move the debate on.
Well, to this day, grassroots Republicans, such as myself, have been attempting, we've attempted 3 times now, to bring this forward, to have a discussion, a sincere discussion as to the role of delegates, what role delegates will play to national conventions, as to whether we're going to be a prop or whether we're going to actually have our input appreciated from the districts and counties that we represent from all over this nation. And again, I ask that this committee does not refer these to the subcommittee.
Thank you. I appreciate your comments.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm Steve Dupree from New Hampshire. I rise in support of referring this along with the one that will follow to the committee. I would just also say to the representative from Maine, I think every one of the 168 people here is a great grassroots activist. We welcome the ones who've come lately. They're a great addition to our party, but there are a lot of us who've been holding signs and working in polls and got involved in politics when we were 9 and 10 years old. In my case, holding a Goldwater sign. So while I welcome all the new activists that have come into our movement, I would take a little bit of umbrage at the suggestion that all 168 of us are not great grassroots activists. And I sort of resent the characterization that some of us are not. We are. I would also say, while I also have deep respect for the concerns that were raised about how we did the voice vote on the rules, I think those of us who have been here a long time know that part of the whole process of conventions, which we are looking at, is the scripted time in which we get our message across on national TV. And I think in your heart of hearts, if we really thought about it, notwithstanding guest yelling, whether we had a long debate, if we went through a roll call on those rules, even though there were some that I found repugnant in the way they were altered our normally working rules committee, they would have been overwhelmingly adopted. The election is over. Unfortunately, we lost it. Let's get over it, as Governor Christie said. Let's not look back at that. Let's let this committee do its work and come up with a set of rules that gives everyone, as a candidate, from the least known to the best known, a fair shot. I have confidence that they will do that, so I support the idea of referring all these suggestions to this committee that will start work. But my main point is every single one of the 168 members of this committee is a great grassroots activist, not just the newest ones. Thank you.
If I can remind all members that your comments are to be made to the chair, and we're not going to have a back and forth between members on he said, she said.